Lyra Porcasi.
All right, and what got you into California independence?
Honestly, it was November of 2016. The CNP page on Facebook just popped up into my feed one day, as we think you might like this. And I clicked on it and I went and learned about it. I went to their website and I immediately fell in love with the entire concept of what they're doing, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I emailed Theo and Ken directly, and I said, please let me do everything I possibly can for this. Do you have any open positions? What do you need? I'm here in Ventura County. Please let me help. And they got back to me and they said, we actually have some leadership positions opening up soon. If you want to present yourself as a candidate, come to our next meeting and tell us about yourself, and we'll elect you.
Are you an educator, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I've been teaching for 20 years.
Okay, and so are you elementary, middle school, high school?
Middle and high school, secondary.
So given that you worked 20 years in the American educational system, has it gotten a lot worse? Has it gotten a lot better? Or, what are the positive and negative aspects?
I think it's morphed through several different versions of that. It's never been really good. They tried the drill and kill approach. I teach math. So they tried the drill and kill where you teach an idea and then they have 60 problems to do. They tried that stuff. And then they tried pretty much the polar opposite of that, where you only have like 3 problems and they're all like really long, multiple part word problems so the kids can relate the math to real life. But then at the same time with that, they weren't getting any of the practice so they could remember it, So they've just gone through several versions of bad, but not really gotten anything good.
Okay, so with high school kids going into college and we're having this huge debt crisis,
Right.
What could be great solutions for that?
Oh, well, okay, we definitely need to have free, at least community college, completely free, paid for by the state or the nation.
So I know American society kind of stigmatizes plumbers, electricians, making them seem like dumb and yokels. And
Right.
we're having a shortage. What can we do to turn around that stigma?
If California was its own independent country, we would absolutely reverse that and just get rid of it entirely, because there is no real difference in value between going to a vocational school or a 4-year university. There is a stigma on it because you always say, if you don't go to college, you're not going to get a good job, you're going to be broke, you're going to be homeless, and you won't have any friends. It's absolutely ridiculous. We need plumbers and electricians and construction people. They're the foundation of the entire nation, really. And taking them for granted like that is really just awful, and we would be reversing that, turning it around.
And one more question. So we see a lot of kids with disability, like ADHD and dyslexia. It seems like the American educational system seems to fail. You're like up front, so how do you handle that? Or what have you experienced with that?
Right. Well, in my personal experience at the public schools, those students are put into separate classes, completely segregated from the quote normal or the mainstream classes and the mainstream students. And they do receive in those separate classes individualized attention and education from special education experts, which has its advantages except for the segregation part. The individual instruction is great, but not the segregation. So in an independent California, that system would definitely need to change. And it's a little difficult to say exactly what the new system would look like because we would have to try things. But definitely the biggest thing that I'm going to be putting in the 2020 platform that for some reason was not in the 2018 is smaller class sizes overall. So everybody can get the individualized instruction anyway, whether they have any sort of special need or not. And then in that way, we can sort of address those issues without any of the segregation parts. So that's the first thing, smaller classes. And then better trained and better paid teachers to be able to do that and handle those, I don't want to call them disabilities, exceptionalities, to handle those at the same time as, teaching the regular subjects that they're teaching.
It's really interesting. So you kind of did answer my last question about better pay for teachers. We're experiencing multiple strikes in Oklahoma, for example. Teachers are making about $35,000,
It's ridiculous.
and they have to do second jobs, do what they love. So what do you think like a median pay for an educator should be?
Well, part of the reason I am no longer teaching in the traditional school system is because I've got 20 years of teaching experience and a master's degree in education. I am very highly qualified. I know my subjects, but nobody will hire me because they would have to pay me at the top of their pay scale, because that's how qualified I am. And they don't want to do that. They want to start people at the bottom. So they grab the teachers that are fresh out of their classes at college. So they only have to pay them 30 something when they would have to pay me 75. So I have been turned down at lots of interviews because of that, and it's ridiculous. I think, just going by babysitting wages, if we said, $5 or $10 an hour, just babysitting wages, if you go by that, teachers would be making $500,000 a year. Which is a stretch. We're not going to do that for every single teacher, but at least 100, I would think. And as you are higher qualified, you should be encouraged instead of overlooked for a cheaper person. So, I'm saying at least 100,000, and hire more of us.